In programming, a loop is used to repeat instructions multiple times automatically. This process is called iteration. Instead of writing the same code again and again, loops allow the computer to repeat actions efficiently. There are two main types of iteration. The first type is definite iteration. This is used when the number of repetitions is already known. For example, printing numbers from 1 to 5. The loop repeats a fixed number of times and then stops. In Python, we can use a for loop like this. For x in range 1 to 6, print x. The second type is indefinite iteration. Here, the number of repetitions is not known in advance. The loop continues until a condition becomes false. For example, a program may keep asking the user for input until they type exit. Loops are very important in programming because they save time and reduce repeated code. They are also useful for processing large amounts of data, automating tasks, and creating game systems or simulations. The key idea to remember is this: loops help programs repeat actions efficiently. Use definite loops when the number of repetitions is known, and indefinite loops when repetition depends on a condition. Iteration means repeating a set of instructions multiple times in a program. Instead of writing the same code again and again, programmers use loops to automate repetitive tasks. Let's look at some common examples of iteration. The first example is printing numbers. A program can repeat a block of code to print numbers from 1 to 10 automatically. Another example is repeating game actions. Games constantly repeat player movements, enemy actions, and score updates using loops. Iteration is also used when processing marks. A school system may repeatedly read marks for many students and calculate results. Now let's see how iteration works. The process starts by executing instructions. Then the program checks whether more repetitions are needed. If the answer is yes, the instructions repeat again. If the answer is no, the loop stops. Here, we can see a Python example. The for loop repeats 5 times using range 1 to 6. Each time, the value of I is printed on the screen. The output becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The key takeaway is this: iteration helps programs repeat tasks automatically, making programs faster, shorter, and easier to maintain. Both types of iteration are used to repeat instructions, but they work in different ways. Let's begin with definite iteration. Definite iteration is used when the number of repetitions is already known in advance. Programs usually use for loops for this type of iteration. For example, if we want to print numbers from 1 to 5, the loop repeats exactly 5 times and then stops automatically. Here we can see the process. Start, repeat fixed number of times, execute instructions, stop. The Python example uses for I in range 1 to 6, print I. The output becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's look at indefinite iteration. Indefinite iteration is used when the number of repetitions is not known in advance. The loop continues until a condition changes. Programs usually use while loops for this type of iteration. The process works like this: start, check condition, if true, execute instructions, repeat. When the condition becomes false, the loop stops. In this example, the program counts from 1 to 5 using a while loop. The counter increases each time until the condition is no longer true. The key takeaway is this: use for loops when you know exactly how many times to repeat. Use while loops when repetition depends on a condition and the number of repetitions is unknown. Loops help programmers write better code and solve problems many times. For example, printing hello repeatedly would require several print statements. With a loop, the same task can be completed using only a few lines of code. This makes programs shorter, cleaner, and easier to maintain. The second advantage is saving time. Loops perform repetitive tasks automatically, which reduces development time for programmers. The third advantage is improved efficiency. Loops optimize code performance and reduce unnecessary repetition in programs. Another important benefit is automation. Loops are perfect for tasks that need to be repeated many times. Now, let's look at some real-life examples. Printers use loops to print multiple pages in a document. Video games use loops to repeat player actions, enemy movements, and score updates continuously. Data processing systems use loops to handle large amounts of information quickly and efficiently. Email systems also use loops when sending the same message to many recipients. The key takeaway is this: loops make programs shorter, faster, and smarter by handling repetitive tasks automatically. They are essential for writing clean, efficient, and effective code. For loops are used to repeat instructions a fixed number of times. They are best used when we already know how many times the loop should repeat. Let's first look at the structure of a for loop. A for loop contains three main parts: initialization, condition checking, and update. Initialization sets the starting value. The condition checks whether the loop should continue. The update increases or changes the counter after each repetition. Now let's look at the Python range function. In Python, we can write for x in range 1 to 6, print x. The loop prints the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Notice that the stop value, 6, is not included in the output. Next, we have the Java for loop. The counter variable starts at 1, increases automatically after each repetition, and stops when the condition becomes false. The output again becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.